Get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Baradelli here with you on a beautiful summer evening here in the People's Republic of New York City. Glad you're here with us, live on Spreaker, or listening to us on any one of our rebroadcast outlets, or listen to us on demand. However you're listening to the show, we're glad you're here with us. And we got a jam-packed show for you here this evening. We're going to be talking to Jody Hice, the congressman from Georgia, that we spoke to earlier in the week. We played a clip of the interview on Spreaker. We gave everybody a little taste of what he said right after he had questioned FBI Director James Comey. And we're going to be playing the full interview on the show, on the airwaves for you tonight. And later on, we'll be playing an interview we did from our trip to D.C. with the Remembrance Project. Maria Espinoza, the national director of that organization, and Julie Golvach, a lady I came to know, and her story, folks, is one of the most emotional stories ever told on this show. We'll get to that a little later on, but first, it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen after over a year of racial tension, after over a year of growing feeling of hostility toward police. It was bound to happen that someone would take things too far. It was bound to happen that someone would intentionally, maliciously, recklessly attempt to take the lives of people, and in fact take the lives of police officers in the line of duty, and in doing so, mar what was otherwise, according to most accounts, a peaceful protest in Dallas, Texas. It was bound to happen, folks, that things would go a step beyond civil discourse, civil disobedience, and there's a lot of, I don't want to say blame to go around. I think there should be a lot of schadenfreude right now, if you want to take a German word for it, on all sides. And to be honest with you, touching this subject is a little bit of a third rail, especially for me. You know, I should be checking my privilege right now, shouldn't I? I should be, not really in a place to voice my opinion on this. Because of my skin color, because I'm an attorney, because I work in a white-collar world, and for any number of reasons. And I'm going to go there anyway. I really don't think that anyone should be silenced in this debate, because this debate affects us all. Of course, I'm talking about the ongoing and escalating, in my opinion, tension between people in the, the BLM movement and people who are in what I guess they would consider to be a social justice movement that affects low-class people, minorities, in response to the violence and the perceived... and again, you see I'm measuring my words here very carefully because I know I'm going to get calls and letters, folks, and emails, gbaradelli@gmail.com. The tension that is growing between the relationship between citizens, specifically citizens who are minorities, and police departments. I don't think that there is anyone here with clean hands, folks. Let's be honest with each other, and let's have an honest discussion tonight. Let's start with this rise in tension that led to this. It's all about perception. There's a perception out there that police are not there to serve and protect everyone. That some police, and, I don't know, I can't speak for a whole movement, but it feels like they're saying that a lot of police, more than just a few, have an agenda other than serving and protecting communities such as the black community or any other minority community where there is increased crime, increased violence, and that police are more apt to use deadly force in situations involving minorities than there would be with other citizens. Other citizens like me. I'm getting choked up just thinking about this because it is a touchy subject. But I'm sticking to my point that this was bound to happen. The tension has grown from Ferguson to Staten Island with Eric Garner to the recent goings on in Baton Rouge in Minnesota, and every now and again you'll hear about another one of these shootings. You'll hear about another one of these incidents, and I'm not one to condemn anyone at this point, especially when we're talking about the recent shootings that we've seen. And again, I'm trying to measure my words here, folks, because while I think that there's enough blame to go around, I think we have to see, everyone should have seen this coming. Is there? Let's start with the protest movement. Let's start with Black Lives Matter. Some people have gone as far as to call them terrorist organizations. I don't know if we're going to go that far, but let's say this: can you find a direct link between Black Lives Matter and what happened with this assassination, if you will, of police officers in Dallas who were there serving and protecting those who were peacefully protesting, for the most part? No, of course not. There's no direct connection there. No one said there's a direct connection there. But at the same time, is there an indirect connection? Hell yes, there is. When you have protesters going around inciting crime like you saw in Ferguson, when you have protesters actually causing destruction and chaos in Baltimore, when you see government appease, and government's not a part of any movement, but let's put progressive politics in with this as well, because there's enough blame there as well. And don't worry, conservatives, I'll get to you as well too. And those in the police force, you may not like what I have to say either, because there's enough blame to go around to everybody. Can you say that progressive policies over generations in places like Baltimore led to this? Of course you can. You had a DA abusing prosecutorial discretion to bring police up on charges of murder for what happened with Freddie Gray. I think reasonable people can agree that there were some procedures that weren't followed, but there's no intentional or malicious act here by these police. And the police force in Baltimore was put on trial. Not exactly an enviable position if you're the police, right? You're now on the defensive. And when you're on the defensive and every move that you're doing is scrutinized, that's when the cracks of wear and tear start to show. That's when you see officers forget their training, and that's where you see incidents happening. Look, I am not going to excuse any incident, but I'm also not going to conclude about any incident, especially the recent ones. What I am going to say to everybody is judge slowly. Coming to a snap judgment on something that happened because of a YouTube video is no way to live your life. Let's start with the Alton Sterling video. Are there things that can be said to be done wrong there? I don't know. From a reasonable person perspective, I can see that if you're wrestling with someone on the ground and you hear someone say he's got a gun, I don't care who it is, I don't care what training you have, survival instincts start taking shape and bad things happen. Could all that have been avoided if Alton Sterling listened to the police? Yeah. Are we supposed to listen to the police all the time? Are police 100% infallible? No. But there's got to be a sense of reasonableness. It is not reasonable to start resisting and fighting with a police officer, especially one who's been brought on a call saying that you have a deadly weapon, to take you down. Philandio Castile in Minnesota, in the St. Paul area, I don't know what happened there. Nobody really knows the officer's going to say something. The driver and the girlfriend and Mr. Castillo's girlfriend is going to have another story, as spoken mostly on her Facebook Live video. Again, I'm not judging anybody here, but when I hear the panic in that police officer's voice after the shooting, that's not normal for someone to just walk up to a window, shoot someone, and be calm. Something had to provoke that in the police officer's mind. And when we get to the report and we see what that's all about, we'll get to it. My point is, judge slowly. But one thing we can talk about with certainty is that this was bound to happen. I want you to listen to this clip, and I'm going to be interrupting it a little bit. It's from the Kelly File on Fox News Channel, and all credit to that show for putting together a panel to begin this discussion. But I have to say, folks, when I hear the responses from those who claim to represent Black Lives Matter and claim to represent their respective minority communities, when I hear things like this, and I'm going to be breaking in and out of this clip a little bit, when I hear things like this, in talking about a shooter possibly being a martyr, as the first Black Miss Georgia said, and when I hear things like, well, listen to the clip and I'll get to it.
I see the shooter in Dallas, Texas as a martyr. A martyr? Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead now.
Cops. So they're getting exactly what they wanted. They wanted us to kill cops, and that's what black people are doing. They're killing.
They wanted us to kill cops? First of all, who is they? I want to know that first and foremost, because when we're talking about, inner city policing, we're normally talking about Democrats in charge. We're normally talking about, the very people who get voted into office by people in the Black Lives Matter movement, progressive governing. Who is they? We're doing exactly what they... So in other words, black people who shoot people, according to this woman, have no responsibility whatsoever. They've been compelled to do it. This is what it's led to. And I agree that this is what it's led to. But to absolve a shooter who killed police from any liability or responsibility is absolutely ludicrous. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the clip again. We're going to start over.
I see the shooter in Dallas, Texas as a martyr. A martyr? Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead now.
Cops. So they're getting exactly what they wanted. They wanted us to kill cops, and that's what black people are doing. They're killing cops. They are responding.
All right, so we're going to go. So Jessica in the front. Hold on. Jessica is part of Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter has never called for the shooting or violence against anyone.
Are you kidding me? Black Lives Matter has never called for the killing of anyone. Watch Kelly get her on this.
What about what do we want? Dead cops, when do we want?
What about that? What about the whole chant of what do we want? Dead cops, when do we want it? What about that chant? If that's not calling for the death of cops, I don't know what is. And by the way, Kelly's not pulling this out of her rear end. It's been well documented. There have been chants like this throughout the country in response to Michael Brown in Ferguson, Eric Garner in Staten Island, Freddie Gray in Baltimore. It's not like she created this narrative on her own out of thin air. But notice that this woman does not answer the question and goes on to one of the most ridiculous statements I've heard on network television.
We like to happen. First of all, what I've been hearing here, this is the reason why our young people are hopeless in America. Our young people are hopeless because you have all these adults here who are not listening to our young people. They talk about black on black crime in Chicago. I'm from Chicago. My organizing and activism has been on intra-community violence. We understand, like what she was talking about. How violence is, we got the point. What I'm trying to say is here.
Let her finish.
We need to abolish the police, period. And
Abolish
the police, disarm the police, and we need to come up with community solutions for transformative justice. What we are seeing.
Okay, I gotta break in here. We have to disband police. Are you kidding me? This is not a healthy discussion. This is not a constructive discussion. This isn't even a discussion.